Usually when you picture a revolutionary, you imagine someone who never really fit the mold, like a natural-born rule breaker.
Yeah.
But what if the greatest artistic rettle of the 20th century was actually, well, the ultimate insider? So today's deep dive is all about Pablo Picasso's hidden past.
Yeah, we all know the end result of his career, right? But before he could completely dismantle modern art, he uh, he actually mastered its most rigid rules flawlessly.
Flawlessly. I mean, he was essentially the Mozart of painting because his father, Jose Ruiz Blasco, was a traditional art professor in Spain and started putting young Pablo through this grueling classical training around age 7.
Right, and this wasn't just, sketching in a notebook for fun. This was the intense 19th century academic system. He was forced to understand structural anatomy from the inside out.
Right, endlessly copying plaster casts and old masters.
Exactly, until he understood exactly how light and shadow and proportion functioned in the real world.
And his dad also had this kind of weird obsession with painting pigeons.
Pigeons, yeah, he loved
Yeah.
them.
Right, and the legend goes that by age 8, Picasso was already so technically skilled that he was finishing his father's paintings by perfectly rendering the pigeon's feet, like at 8 years old.
Which is wild. I mean, by the time he was 13, he possessed the technical command of a seasoned professional.
It's literally like finding out your favorite chaotic punk rocker was secretly a classically trained concert pianist.
That is a great way to put it. Picasso actually later said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but it took me a lifetime to learn to draw like a child."
Oh, wow. So he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely. And that rigorous academic foundation, it really reached its peak when he was just 15.
Right, with that massive canvas.
Yeah, literally the size of a garage door. It's called Science and Charity. It depicts a doctor and a nun tending to a sick woman in bed.
And the behind-the-scenes production of this is just wild because for the cold, calculating doctor, Picasso used his own father as the model.
Which is pretty fitting, yeah.
Right. And then for the sick woman and child, he went out and hired a literal street beggar for 10 pesetas and then dressed an adolescent friend in a borrowed nun's habit.
It's a really striking example of academic realism.
But I do have to push back on this being like a purely personal achievement because his dad essentially rigged the game here.
What do you mean?
Well, he handpicked this trendy hospital subject because it was practically guaranteed to win over the bourgeois critics of the time. Like, did Picasso actually care about this ultra-realistic style?
Oh, not at all. You're completely right. The painting did exactly what his father designed it to do.
Which was win awards.
Exactly. It conquered Spain's elite art scene and just swept the critics.
Yeah.
But having proven he could easily win their game, Picasso almost immediately rebelled.
He was just done with...
Yeah, he used that total mastery as an escape valve, basically, abandoning that formal style entirely.
So when he turned his back on that world and fled to Paris, he left all that academic proof behind. And honestly, we'd probably have no record of his classical mastery if his mother hadn't stayed in Barcelona.
Thank goodness for his mom.
Right. She basically hoarded trunks full of his childhood art.
Yeah, because she saved everything. The museum in Barcelona today holds nearly 5,000 pieces from those formative years.
That is just a staggering amount of work.
It is. And modern science is actually showing us even more of that hidden history now.
Right. Researchers have been x-raying some of his early works. Like I read there's an entire landscape painting just hiding underneath the Peace Girl with a dove.
Yeah, so this works because X-rays detect the heavy metals like lead and zinc.
The stuff used in old paint.
Exactly. The foundational layers. It reveals this physical layering of his experimentation, proving he was constantly reusing canvases.
Which makes me wonder, was recycling canvases just the reality of being a broke teenager? Or is there a deeper compulsion at play here?
Like what?
Like an obsessive need to literally paint over his own academic past.
That's a fascinating thought. I mean, the physical presence of those hidden layers definitely proves his revolutionary style didn't just emerge from a vacuum.
Right. It wasn't just random shapes.
No, Cubism wasn't a messy aesthetic choice. It was a deliberate mathematical deconstruction of form. And you can't deconstruct a form you don't fully understand structurally.
So knowing that he completely conquered the rules of the old masters really makes his later work so much more impressive.
It changes everything.
Yeah, he didn't invent a new style because he lacked the skill to paint reality. He did it because he had exhausted reality by the time he was 15.
He proved he could do exactly what was expected of him perfectly, and then just chose to do the exact opposite.
Which brings us back to that idea of the ultimate insider. So we'll leave you with this to ponder. If Picasso hadn't been forced into the grueling constraints of painting perfectly like a Renaissance master as a child, would he have ever felt that burning, revolutionary urge to invent a whole new way of seeing the world?